G'day everyone and welcome to Two Cousins One Chat. I'm Ben, one half of the TCOC duo, coming to you from downtown Adelaide, South Australia.
Hello, and I'm Kristy, the other half beaming in from Melbourne, Victoria, and a very warm welcome to you, all of our listeners. Thanks so much.
Thanks for tuning in. It's great to have you joining us for another episode.
Hey Ben, how you going?
I'm really good. I'm very excited about today's episode. What about you?
I know, I am too. As per usual, I am just keeping it together and trying to keep my coolness on a bit of a download because Ben, you know how much I love cycling. I love the spring classics in Europe, the Giro d'Italia, of course, and the Tour de France. It's hands down my absolutely favourite time of year. And yes, my annual Tour de France competition is going strong. But it's such an awesome time for cycling fans, and there's so much to get excited about.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I can't wait. It was such an exciting Giro this year. I'm just so geared up. Every year, to our regular listeners, you'll know we dedicate an episode to what we call the greatest sporting event on earth, the Tour de France. And for those who might not be familiar, I mean, you would have to have heard about the Tour de France, surely, but here's a really quick lowdown in around 100 words. I'll do my best.
Go for it, Ben.
The Tour de France is the world's most prestigious and grueling cycling race. It's been held annually since 1903, except during the World Wars. It spans 21 stages over 3 weeks in July, and it covers around 3,500 kilometres across France and neighbouring countries. This year, it's all in France. Riders face tough mountain climbs, flat-out sprints, and time trials, and the iconic yellow jersey, or maillot jaune, is awarded to the overall leader. It's a true test of endurance, strategy, and teamwork, and it literally captivates millions around the globe. And of course, we can't forget that the Tour de France Femme, which follows straight after the men's race, has been running for the last, I think this is year 4, and it's become a must-watch event, absolutely. So how'd I go, Kristy?
Ben, you nailed it. I'm pretty sure it was around about 100 words. I wasn't counting, but you know what? You're a genius.
Oh, thanks. Well, for the past couple of years, we've been lucky to have broadcaster Mike Tomalaris join us to talk all things TDF. Mike is the man who brought world cycling into our lounge rooms for almost 3 decades on SBS, and also is the co-host of the excellent Domestiques cycling podcast. Let's not keep him waiting, Kristy.
Yes, it is our absolute pleasure to welcome Mike to Two Cousins One Chat for our annual Tour de France special episode. Hello, Mike.
Oh, hello, Kristy. Hello, Ben. What an intro, Ben. You are becoming a student of the Tour de France. That intro was absolutely superb. You've caught the bug, haven't you? I can tell.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you know what? I caught the bug 30 years ago. And back then, very few people were speaking my language, but it didn't take long for the people that are watching this world's greatest television spectacle called the Tour de France to be speaking the language that I spoke 30 years ago. And that language is the love for the two-wheeled sport. And it was brought to us, I think, courtesy of the Tour de France. And that's when we were really exposed to what the Tour de France is all about. And you know what? A nation loves it, and that nation is Australia. Mind you, it's a global attraction now. It's not just Australia that loves this event called the Tour. It is a global attraction. Everybody around the world is watching it, just like they are perhaps watching the Masters golf or the FIFA World Cup or Wimbledon or the French Open. The Tour de France is up there with all of them.
Absolutely. And speaking of last time we spoke, Mike, it was you were at the start line of the Tour de France in Florence, and that episode was one of our most downloaded. You're not in Florence today, but you're currently in Queensland. Tell us a little bit about where you are today.
Yeah, look, I'm in Brisbane, and tomorrow, Friday, this weekend, the first weekend of the tour, just for those who may be listening to this podcast on delay, I'm here for a gravel event, and it's called Gravel and Flannel. And I guess it's Queensland's version of Gears and Beers, which is big in New South Wales. Victoria's got the Beechworth Granite event on the Anzac Day weekend every year. And now Queensland is falling in love with the gravel side of cycling. So it's a 3-day muster. little place called Esk, about 100 kilometres west of Brisbane. I'm the ambassador this weekend. Apart from riding on the road, I do have a gravel bike, and I enjoy riding on gravel. Why? Because it's safe, it's safer. There are no vehicles in terms of traffic, city traffic, that is, and it's just another layer of where cycling can take me. So I'm here for this 3-day muster called the Gravel and Flannel. And apart from riding my gravel bike, you guessed it, we have to wear a flannel shirt, and that's the quirky side of the gravel scene in Australia.
And have you got your flannel shirt with you, Tomo?
Yeah, I have got my gravel. I have got my. In fact, I've got it right here, and there it is, right there.
Oh, that's classic. Oh, the lumberjack.
I feel like a cowboy on two wheels.
Oh, that's so good. A little bit different to where you were last year in, as I mentioned, in Florence. That was lovely to speak to you last year at the start line.
And you know what, Kristy, last year when you spoke to me and crossed to me, and I may have said it on the podcast, I saw the Tour de France with different eyes because I was behind a barrier. I was a punter. I wasn't in front of a TV camera as I had been for 27 years prior. I was there as a spectator because in the days before I was over there riding my bike with some friends around the Tuscan hills. I saw it in a different way last year. I was 10 deep behind a barrier, just soaking it all up as most people do when they're on location. I wasn't in a chair or behind a microphone or behind a desk broadcasting to a national audience. I was just there as Joe Blow, Mike Tomalaris from Sydney, Australia, enjoying and loving this thing called the Tour de France.
And Mike, this year, so it's a very different year for you, and it's great to see how much you get around with your bike. Like you said to us last time, your bike takes you everywhere. You've got a special TDF event coming up. Can you tell us what that's about?
I'm glad you asked, Ben. I'm taking advantage, I think, of the legacy that I've left as a broadcaster for SBS all those years, almost 3 decades, as you said in your intro. And I'm hosting dinners in Sydney and in Albury, Wodonga. And I'm just really putting my big toe out to see what the response is like. And when I say I'm hosting Tour de France dinners, it's an opportunity for those who can't be in France to enjoy a French experience without jumping on a plane and going to the other side of the world. And what I'm doing is hosting 2 very different events. One is like a degustation in a place called Q Station in Manly on the northern side of Sydney Harbour. And that's quite pricey, but it has all the bells and whistles. It'll be a 5-course dinner with some wonderful wines brought to us from De Beau Repair Wines. And we're going to have, and De Beau Repair is an Australian brand. It's from Rylstone in New South Wales. We're going to have Q&A. We're going to have trivia questions, yellow jersey, green jersey, and mountain jersey questions. I'm thinking about having a competition where people, the guests, have to change attire, and the fastest person wins a prize. But most importantly, we've got guests coming in from France on our big screen. Apart from watching the stage on the 12th of July and on Bastille Day, the 14th of July, I've locked in Phil Liggett, and I've also locked in just today Matt White, the former team director for Green Edge, and now Jaco Alula. But look, I'm reaching out to a lot of my contacts, and I think that's what makes it special. Not just the food, the wine, the fun, the competition, the banter, and telling stories about my 27-year career, but also talking to people who are over there. So it'll feel like we're actually there without being there, if you know what I mean. And Phil Liggett's been a long-time friend of mine. Everybody loves Uncle Phil. He's 83 years of age now, and I had the opportunity actually in March with my wife to visit Phil in England when we went on this UK tour. We didn't ride our bikes. We basically, to celebrate our 40th wedding anniversary, we picked up a car from Heathrow Airport, and we drove from the southernmost point of the UK, which is Land's End, up to the northernmost point of the UK, which is John O'Groats in the northernmost point of Scotland. And we travelled everywhere in between without visiting the big cities. We didn't do London. We didn't do Manchester. We didn't do Glasgow and those sort of places. We went to all the rural districts. Um, and as part of the trip, I thought I'd give Phil Liggett a call. And I said to him, Phil, look, I've known you for 30 odd years, but in that time, we've never had the chance to actually sit down and talk for more than 5 minutes. The reason being, we're always distracted from our respective jobs, or we have been in the past. Phil, with his commitments with NBC and prior to that SBS, and me with my commitments on SBS. Um, and I thought I'll give Phil a call and see if we can go to his little patch in Hertfordshire, just outside of London, and maybe go to his pub, have a meal. And that's exactly what we did. In fact, he put us up for the night in his place, he and his wife Trish, and it was almost 48 hours of bliss and talking and chatting, and seeing another side of Phil and Trish, because the side that we see, which is not much different to what you get anyway, is Phil the broadcaster. But he is such a generous man, and it's a 48-hour period of my life that will live with me forever. And even though I've known Phil for 30, as I said before, I really haven't had the opportunity to sit down with him for more than 5 minutes every time I say hello to him, whether it's in France or Australia or at the tour down under in Adelaide. But that all changed just in March of this year, when I had the great opportunity to go to his pub, have a great meal with his wife, and then he showed us around Hertford, a little village in Hertfordshire. Yeah. So it was a great opportunity. So with our dinners, Phil's going to pop in via satellite directly, and so is Matt White, and there'll be a few more surprises as well. So that's what I'm doing with my dinners, and it's a great opportunity to do something. When I'm not over there, I can do something here through my legacy.
Absolutely.
What a treat.
And just quickly going back to the Phil Liggett chat that you had on the Domestiques, it was like having a coffee with two mates, because you were sitting there, you were sitting outside, you were having a coffee, and his wife poured out the coffee, and it was really, it was so lovely. I really thoroughly enjoyed that interview and love to see more of those.
Glad you did, Kristy.
Yeah, really loved it. All right, let's start talking some Tour de France, because we've got a couple of questions to get through here, but I can tell in your voice, and you can tell in mine too, do you still get the buzz when July comes around and the tour kicks off?
I do, Kristy. A lot of people ask me, do you miss the broadcasting side of things? And look, I'll be honest with you, of course I do. But it's been 3 years now since I've moved on from my former employer, SBS, and life is very good for me these days. I'm 64 years of age. I've got a lovely wife. I've got 4 grandchildren, and life for me is totally different. And I've got 2 daughters, of course. And life is totally different to what it was every July. But having said that, it's still very, very exciting. I'm a punter these days, but I'm a passionate supporter of an event that I fell in love with 30 years ago, and everybody else has fallen in love with something that I fell in love with a long time ago. So it's a real bug. And, as I said earlier to Ben, he's caught the bug. He loves this time of the year as well. So, look, I do miss the broadcasting side of things, but then again, I'm happy where I am in life. We're not on this planet for a very long time. We've got to make the most of it every day. And, my philosophy in life these days is there's 86,400 seconds in a day, every day of the year. I'm living each and every one of those seconds. So that's my philosophy, and I'm making the most of it.
That's fabulous, unreal. Now the race is interesting this year because it's all within France, which almost seems like a novelty compared to the last few years. Kristy and I have had to think about what we think are going to be some our favourite stages, just on paper. Are there any key stages that you're especially excited for from what you've seen so far, Mike?
It's interesting, Ben. For the first time in a long time, the race director, Christian Prudhomme, has designed a course that is very old school. And what I mean by that is the first 7 days is suited for the sprinters. And that was never the case that I can remember during Christian Prudhomme's reign. He came in as the race director around 2007, 2008. So 17, 18 years almost. And you might remember last year when the tour started from Florence in Tuscany in Italy, the race basically went uphill from stage one. Stages 1 to 3 in Italy were very, very tough. It was a grueling race. And in the years prior to that, it wasn't, it was pretty similar to what we saw last year. And so when I say it's old school, we haven't had 7 relatively flat stages in the first week of the tour, as what will be the case this year. So it gives the riders who are chasing overall honours an opportunity to sort of ride into the race without having to burn their legs, as was the case last year and the years before in the opening stages. So that's what makes it different. The last week particularly is very tough. But what I'm trying to say is, in previous years, it's been 3 solid weeks of racing in the Tour de France. It won't be so tough this year. And even having said that, it's always tough because these guys are professional racers. But I think what Prudhomme is trying to do is, there's talk that Tadej Pogacar, the 3-time winner of the Tour, could run away with this race and secure win number 4. So in order not to make it predictable, in order not to make the race boring, and in order to stop Pogacar from opening up big time gaps very early on, I think that's the reason why Prudhomme has laid down this relatively flat week to allow the sprinters their time in the sun before the mountain climbers enjoy their time in the sun in the latter part of week 2 and certainly week 3.
And this year they're going to my favourite, which is Mont Ventoux, the Giant of the South. That's my pick. That's stage 16, which is going to be an absolute cracker. Be staying up all night to watch that one.
My pick is actually interesting, Mike, that you were talking about the sprint at the start, because my pick is actually stage 17. It's the last chance for the sprinters. Biniam Girmay is back for Intermarché, which is really exciting. He just did so well last year. It was incredible to watch him win. And there's definitely some contenders in the sprint, but it's the last chance for the sprinters to pick up points. So I'm really keen to see what's going to happen with the green jersey this year. I would love to see Girmay back it up. What do you think? Do you think he's got the legs?
I think you're right. Girmay has got a taste of the green jersey. He became the first African, created wonderful history last year by securing the maillot vert, the green jersey, for the very first time. And that was a wonderful occasion. It's great. He's from Eritrea, just a small nation in the northeast of the continent in Africa. Look, I think he'll do it again. It's a very strong sprint field, although Mads Pedersen is backing up. I can't see anybody beating Girmay. But you talk about Mont Ventoux, which is a classic mountain climb. They call it the Giant of Provence, Kristy. And why that is, I visited that place probably 4 or 5 times, and on each occasion, the weather conditions were totally different. It's almost like a micro climate up there. It rises to more than 2,000 meters. It is the Giant of Provence for one reason. It stands out like a beacon. You can see it virtually from hundreds of kilometers away. It's not quite in the French Alps. It's probably about 2 hours to the west of the French Alps. And that's why it's so noticeable. And there's a vegetation line. So when you make your way from the base of the mountain to the very top, the landscape just changes incredibly. From vegetation, trees, etc., forest, all of a sudden, it's like a lunarscape. You feel like you're on the moon as you make your way near the top, and there's all that rockery, that volcanic.
It's so unique, isn't
landscape.
it? There's nothing like it.
It's so unique. It's unbelievable. And depending on which way the winds are blowing, if it's hot as it has been, in Europe for the start of summer, you could get temperatures up to 40 degrees. But if the winds turn and they come in from the north, from the North Pole, it can be freezing. You remember the day when the race on Bastille Day, the 14th of July, I think it was 2016, and Chris Froome was the rider who lost control of his bike after the organisers decided to bring the finish line as a result of the 100-kilometre winds that were blowing at the top of Mont Ventoux. They brought the finish line near the vegetation, near where the forested area of Mont Ventoux, because the winds were much lighter. And you might remember on that day, Chris Froome was forced to run towards the finish line after having some mechanical problems with about 500 metres to go. And it was also that same day when Richie Porte, the Australian, banged his head onto the back of the motorbike, which was carrying the cameraman. A lot happened that day. But these are some of the unforeseen scenarios that can take place if the weather conditions are not suitable. And that was the case in 2016 when the winds were so strong up the top, organised that to change the finish line. And who knows what might happen this year.
That's right.
It could be hot, 40 degrees. It could be freezing cold when it's only about 10 degrees, depending on which way the winds are blowing.
Yeah.
Currently, they're having a heat wave in Europe, so hopefully things kind of calm down a little bit before they get down to the giant of Provence.
But that's certainly my favourite stage this year.
Oh, good,
wow.
good. I'm with you on that. So stage 16 buddies, you and me, Mike. There's 23 teams again this year. Who's looking the strongest and who do you think will dominate? I'm kind of thinking either Jumbo-Visma or the UAE team.
It's
so
not. It's all you get. It's Visma and Lisa Bike these days,
Oh,
Kristy. You have the
excuse me.
sponsors calling you up if you do that sort of thing.
Excuse me.
Look, you know, Kristy, I don't blame you, Kristy. I don't blame you for getting the names of the teams confused, because it can be confusing.
Yeah.
You know, well, unlike other sports, and this is my bugbear with world cycling, the sponsors come, they go. And when they go, it's confusing. The Lisa Bike, before it was Jumbo Visma. Prior to that, it was just Jumbo. For a supporter, it can be so confusing. I mean, we're not, unlike, say, English Premier League teams, Manchester United. You know what I mean? And that's my bugbear with world cycling. And some might think, well, it's only a minor thing, but it's not, because you want to support these teams through thick and thin. But anyway, in answer to your question, I've had a look at the Visma Lisa. What is it? What is it, Ben? Lisa Bike?
Visma Lisa Bike, yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. You see, even I'm confused. I've had a look at the Visma Lisa Bike team. It is a very strong team.
Yeah.
And that is the team which will be led by the two-time winner in Jonas Vingegaard, Giro winner in, just remind me, I haven't got my notes in front of me. He's got a Vuelta winner in Sepp Kuss. He's got Wout van Aert.
Yates.
He's got, that's right, Yates. He's got Simon Yates, who won the Giro just this year.
That's it.
It is a super strong support that Vingegaard has got alongside him. And I think when you compare his team with that of Tadej Pogacar, Visma is certainly stronger. So Pogacar will certainly have his work cut out.
Sorry. Also, Victor Campenaerts has moved to Visma. And he's just skipping ahead. He's one of my favorite riders. He's a great, super domestique.
Yeah, they're all super domestiques. Each and every one of them. It's a super strong team. That is a dream team, if you ask me, with for Visma.
Well, they've got so many options for lead outs and, climbing, like Yates and Vingegaard are both great climbers. You've got Campenaerts and Wout van Aert are two amazing lead out riders. So, and could also, give the sprint a crack as well. So it's there. That's my pick. I love watching Victor Campenaerts. He's just a fun, he's a fun character of the race. And so is Wout van Aert. And I think Vingegaard is probably my pick of the riders, because I have a soft spot for him. He's a fighter. he seems like a real true gentleman of the sport, and I would love to see him, after all he's been through over the last few years, to
Yeah,
take the yellow again. That would
yeah,
be
I'd like to agree with you. I'd like to agree with you, Ben. And it would be I won't call it a fairy tale victory if he does get up, but it'll be a victory that he'll probably would have worked hard to earn,
Mm.
because Pogacar, we've seen what he can do. He is the best rider I have ever seen. And a lot of people, even before my time, those who saw Eddie Merckx, those who saw Bernard Hinault, those who saw the legends of the 60s, the 70s, and 80s, are also resigned to claiming that Pogacar is the best rider we've ever seen in the history of world cycling, a sport which dates back to the 1800s. So that's a big call. But if you've got a super strong team as Vingegaard has around him, who knows? And like I said before, the relatively easy, in quotation marks, first week will certainly help Vingegaard more than it helps Pogacar.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I really love their sportsmanship and the rivalry between them. And I've just started watching the Unchained episode series on Netflix. I know it's a little bit hammed up, but the rivalry between Pogacar and Vingegaard is so lovely. The sportsmanship, we've seen that over the years.
Kristy, you're so true. You're so right. I mean, when I first went across to France and first started following world cycling, the likes of those who have been busted for doping during that dark era, I mean, it was pure business. You know, you rarely saw people shaking hands. It was dog eat dog. And, you know, that still might be the case in 2025. But thanks to Pogacar, thanks to Vingegaard, thanks to Wout van Aert, Mathieu van der Poel, and many others, when they jump off their bikes, it's they show their true human spirit, don't they? It's not business as it was back in the old days. And that's what I love about the sport these days. It's got a human element. There's a human spirit, which we never saw before. And I think it's all come about after COVID.
Yeah.
These guys are a new generation. They're still relatively young. They're in their early to mid 20s. They're aging a little bit now, but they're still much younger than the old dinosaurs from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And I say that with all due respect, because when I say dinosaurs, I'm talking about riders. You know, there was a theory. If you wanted to win a big 3-week bike race like the Tour de France or the Giro or the Vuelta, the sports scientists were saying you had to be at least 30 years of age minimum. Well, these young guys, the likes of Remco Evenepoel, the likes of Tadej, the likes of Vingegaard, they're well under 30 years of age, and they're dominating the sport. So they've certainly buried that philosophy from the sports scientists of yesteryear.
Well, didn't Pogacar won Best Young Rider and won the race in the same year, didn't he? So shows how young he started to dominate the race.
Yeah, he can still win the white jersey as well.
Yeah.
So who's your prediction, Tomo? I think I'm going to go Tadej. Who's your prediction to win?
Well, look, we haven't spoken about Remco Evenepoel, and it's so good to see he will be in the mix as well, I predict. Look, it's easier to say that will be the podium. In which order, it's very hard to tell. Pogacar, Vingegaard, and probably Remco in number 3. But don't discount the Australian in Ben O'Connor. Don't discount the other Australian in Michael Storer, who on a stage in the Giro on the penultimate day. These guys are primed, I think, for a big tour. And let's talk about the Aussies. I mean, there are 10 of them lining up, and each and every one of them have the potential, the ability to make an impression, whether it's for a stage win or whether it's chasing other jerseys or whether it's chasing the yellow jersey, like Ben O'Connor probably will, definitely will. I mean, he'll be knocking on the door of a place on the podium if those other 3 names that I mentioned just a short time ago can't hack it. They may not make the finish line for whatever reason, whether it's through sickness or a crash or whatever.
Yeah, you never know.
And that's the beauty also of the Tour de France. It's an unpredictable race. It's not a game of footy, which might be over in 2 hours. It's not a game of cricket, which might be over in 5 days, or a game of tennis, which might be over in 5 sets. This is a bike race which runs for 3 hours, 3 weeks. So if you crash, you don't get substituted. You've got to either pick yourself up, get back on your bike, or say, look, I've got a broken bone, I can't continue. It's totally different, the dynamic of this race, compared to any other sport.
Yeah, you actually have to finish it, which is, where, you could assume someone's going to win, but they actually have to finish it. That in itself is a massive achievement. But yeah, I agree. Watching the Aussies in the Giro was to get two stage wins. I think 2 Aussies got stage wins in the Giro, and it was such a good jolt of energy for Jayco Alula, because they are financially nowhere near as well off as some of these other bigger teams. So they really, from what I was hearing through the commentary, was that they really needed to do well to even sort of stay at the world cycling, like at the UCI sort of tours, the grand tours. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yep.
That was a big result. That was a big result for Stora and for Jayco to do well at the Giro, because, as you say, they were near the bottom of the top league, the UCI World Tour, and they have a relegation and promotion process just like the football leagues around the world do. So that would have helped them enormously to lift themselves up the table, so to speak, in the UCI World Tour. So with Ben O'Connor, hopefully he can win a stage or two, and hopefully he can knock on the door of a place on the podium and join the likes of Cadell and Richie Putt, who have done that. It will be an outstanding success. But again, you've got to stay upright, not just for 1 day or 2 days or a week. You've got to stay upright for 21 stages and make it to the finish line on each of those days. It's not easy.
That's it.
It's such a long way. Just think what you'll be doing, like in what you're going to do between now and in 3 weeks' time. You go to work, you do bits and pieces. These guys are riding their bikes every single day. We're kind of heading towards the end of our chat here today, Mike, and I can't believe it's just going so quickly. But I had a bit of a curly question for you. What's the strangest or most unusual thing you've seen on the side of the road during the tour over your time in France?
The strangest time? Well, you see a lot of strange things. It's a real circus. It's a real circus. One of the most strangest things, it wasn't at the Tour de France, actually. It was at the Giro, I think it was, when Tom Dumoulin dropped his pants. He had a bug in his stomach, and he just had to go and do number 2 on the side of the road. And unfortunately, the camera picked it up. Unbeknownst to Tom Dumoulin. Look, I've seen a lot of things, and having covered this race for so many years as I did, it really surprised me how more riders didn't get taken by the very passionate, the very knowledgeable supporters who are lined on those mountains. And they're 10, 20 deep, some of them on the side of the road. And a lot of them have been up there, not just for half an hour whilst waiting for the peloton to arrive. A lot of them are up there on their annual summer holidays and arrive perhaps a week before. And I can remember on Alpe d'Huez, the Dutch supporters, God love them. I love them. They're fantastic. They know how to party. They know how to have a holiday, especially in July when they escape their cold climate and head to the south of France and to enjoy the sunshine and the warmth. They arrive about 5 days before the peloton on Alpe d'Huez and other mountains. And they've got this huge boombox. It's probably the size of a house. And they're dancing to the Dutch folk songs for days on end prior to the peloton. And apart from that, they're consuming as much Heineken as is being produced on a daily basis out of the place where it's produced in the Netherlands. And look, they're there to have a good time. They're not aggressive. They're wonderful supporters of cycling. But get this, when the peloton finally arrives, 99% of them are flat on their backs, absolutely drunk, and they don't see a thing.
They miss it.
The peloton passes, and they're gone.
They're gone.
To the partying.
Oh, my God.
It's unbelievable. It's fantastic. That's probably one of the strangest things I've seen.
That's hilarious. That's so good.
Oh, Mike, it's been really great speaking with you again this year. Of course, you've got your Domestiques podcast. Have you got any special guests lined up soon, or do you just take that as it comes?
No, I have one special guest. On Monday, we've locked in the gorilla. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yes, I do.
I don't.
Who?
His name
I'll
is
tell you in a minute. Andre Greipel.
Ah, that's his nickname, is it?
the gorilla, yeah, because he was so...
His name is the gorilla.
Oh,
And he
fantastic.
won, I think he's won the most stages at the Tour Down Under,
Yes.
but he was a regular winner at the Tour de France and many other races as well. He is a sprinter, or was a sprinter of the highest order. So it'll be great to have him on our Domestiques podcast next week during the first week of the tour, and it'll be good to get his take on the sprinters that are lined up at the Tour de France this year.
Fantastic.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. That'll be such a great listen. I'll absolutely be listening to that one. Fantastic. Well, Mike, it's always a pleasure having you on our podcast. Your insight and stories are what make this episode such a fan favorite for our audience every year. You know, I could actually keep talking to you about Tour de France all day. So we really appreciate you taking the time out of your trip up north to be our special VIP guest. Thank you.
Kristy and Ben, then congratulations on your podcast too. Two Cousins, you've been going for a couple of years now. So, I listen in, I tune in when I possibly can. And it's all about survival, isn't it, when you do podcasts?
Yes.
It's not easy.
It's not. No, thank you. Thank you so much. So that was brilliant. Thank you, Mike. And don't forget, listeners, you can catch more of Mike on the Domestiques podcast. And he's doing some live events as well. So if you're in the area near Manly or Albury-Wodonga, they just sound like brilliant events. So make sure you check that out. Listening to Mike and hearing your fantastic experiences is a must for anyone who loves cycling.
And everyone, keep enjoying the upcoming, enjoy the upcoming Tour de France. Remember, if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, July is basically a write-off for sleep. August will be catching up. So we've got Tour de France and Wimbledon. So we've got lots happening in this part of the world.
I'm still recovering from the Giro. But anyway, thanks for tuning in, everyone, to Two Cousins One Chat. It's been great to present this one to you, and great to see you again, Kristy. Thanks, Mike, and vive la Tour.
Yeah, see you later.